Hi, welcome. This is Mukul Yudhavir Singh for Economic Times Manufacturing, and sitting with me today is Mr. Shailendra Shukla, who is MD for Vehicle Business and E-Mobility, Eaton. Mr. Shukla, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mukul. And first of all, let me express my gratitude for your presence here. I'm sure we'll have great time talking together.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Shukla. I wanted to understand from you the fuel of the future is changing, right? If I'm not wrong, Eaton is more heavy on the diesel side at the moment. How well are you prepared in terms of manufacturing for the future?
So I will use a word called alternate fuels, and we'll have to go in some specifics on what's really happening. So alternate fuels, obviously electrification is a lot talked about, but then there is LNG, then there is going to be hydrogen, then there is going to be biodiesel, which will come. So a good chunk of that will get categorized into what we call as internal combustion engine, and a good chunk will get categorized into hybrid or electrification. So Eaton as an organization has solution which will go across the entire spectrum of internal combustion engine, including the alternate fuels and also electrification. So we concentrate on commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles. That's where most of our solutions are deployed, and we are successfully running our product here in this country on LNG. Hydrogen is yet to be mainstream, but we can find a lot of LNG, CNG, and diesel obviously working on. As an organization, we are convinced that internal combustion engine is also going to stay for some more time. It's not going to disappear, specifically on the commercial vehicle front, and there is going to be a longer transition. So we are going to be staying invested in the internal combustion engine, and obviously our future investments will go in the alternate fuels. But yes, we are already serving alternate fuel, and we have solutions for electrification, and we'll enhance it further.
Interesting. Could you give me a little some figures around how many transmissions per day or per year do you make at this facility for ICE engines, and how many you're doing for electric powertrain at the moment?
Sure. Given that this particular plant is serving our domestic market as well as international market, we obviously get to make the internal combustion engine transmissions as well as for the electrification. So our capacity for this plant is 100,000 units plus annually, and majority of them right now are internal combustion engine because they are primarily going on the commercial vehicle. So barring China, where commercial vehicles have reached a stage of 15% and upward on electrification, other countries have not. So I can say confidently that more than 95% of our transmissions manufactured right now are going for internal combustion engine, India and abroad. We also make 4-speed transmissions, which finds application in the electrical world. There we are mostly exporting right now, but we are also working with several prominent OEMs in the country to see if this product has application in the country.
Interesting. Speaking of exports, there's a lot of talk taking place around green steel, and a lot of European countries, some have already done it, some plan to levy green tax. Do you think this is something that you're prepared for? Because nobody at the moment is making green steel in India, right?
No, actually we have implemented.
Okay.
So one of our prominent supplier and one of our big supplier is already making green steel right here in this country in 2 different geographies. We are already associated with them proudly, and we use their steel. And not only for India, we have introduced them for our global needs as well. So it's going to be one of those cases where India is also exporting green steel in the global market. But what I foresee, Mukul, that prices has to eventually, with the scale, the prices will get little optimized, and that is when there will be a mainstream acceptance. This will also be driven by government regulation, but we are not only prepared, we are already using green steel in the market.
And how much would you say right now is green steel in your production?
That is going to be a little difficult to analyze because we also source a lot of components from other players. But putting a precise figure to it right now, I don't have a fix, but I would say it's in, it could be around 20 odd percent, something I can double check. And as I said, it has to get optimized for a bigger transition and a bigger acceptance.
Am I correct to assume that this ballpark figure of 20% is used for is used in components that are exported, or is something are transmissions with green steel also getting
For both domestic and exports,
okay?
usually our components remain common. We do not really distinguish between what goes here locally and what goes internationally, because for us quality is paramount, and we ensure that we give the same quality product to all our customers. So there is no demarcation or there is no differentiation in terms of where we are more green or where we are less green. As an organization, we are green, and if you go by our own declaration, we want to be carbon neutral by 2030. And then if I go by scope 1, 2 and 3, our target is to reduce scope 1 and scope 2 by 50% by 2030 and scope 3 by 15%.
Okay.
Now, which means that every manufacturing plant of Eaton globally will be measured on this metrics, and as an organization together, we would reach our goal.
Okay, interesting. Speaking of your net zero goals, right? If we keep only manufacturing into this envelope, how do you plan to do that for manufacturing by the year you mentioned? What all practices would you have
Sure.
to adopt, and what all would you need to change or invest into?
So there is no one particular action. So what we measure, A is water, water consumption. 2 is the greenhouse gas. Three is the waste. So we have to work on all 3 areas. Plus we have to work on our scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3. So for example, in this very plant, the heat treatment, we used to earlier use propane. Now we use natural gas.
Wow.
Okay, the water over here everything gets treated and we recycle them for the usage in the gardening, in the toilets and other usage for the water. So this site already has zero waste to landfill certification and zero water discharge certification. So we have been always environmentally conscious, not only for manufacturing facility, but also for the product which goes in the market. And that's where I think we would want to bring the larger Eaton into picture, because Eaton is not only into automotive, we are also into electrical business, we are also into aerospace business, and that is where we are making a big difference through our products, through our practices.
Interesting. Digitization is also a trend that's, though it has happened in the outside world, in India it is still catching up. Do you see digitization and sustainability as the same parts of, as two different parts of the same coin?
I must tell you, it's a very interesting question first. Let me compliment you on the question. Digitization does help towards sustainability. While the goal of digitization could be much bigger, mostly if you see the impact of digitization, if we take into end-to-end chain, would be obviously logistics, okay, supply chain. Then it's going to be on the productivity. Then it's going to be on the quality. It's also going to be on safety, and it's also going to be on the environment. One direct impact of digitization is reduced scrap, and another direct impact is an higher productivity, which means there is optimal use of the power which is available. So in my view, digitization is something which not only us, I think that's most of the organization should adopt, considering that it's not only about productivity, there is quality, there is safety, there is environment, and then there is whole lot of customer satisfaction attached to it. Having said that, both our manufacturing plants in India are on Digital Factory Accelerator program, which is our in-house program where we map the success of digitization through our Industry 4.0 practices and how we have deployed that in our plant.
Interesting. And could you give us some examples of automation present here on the manufacturing floor? Because, a lot of times I have seen that on a lot of manufacturing floors, it is only data that a lot of people refer to as automation, because they churn out data, sensors churn out data and tell if the machine might go bad, or if there are some other errors. But that is what they are limited to. Is something here that is beyond that?
Okay, so what you speak is basically Internet of Things,
Yeah.
and usually that's the first step which most of the organization, and the easiest step which most of the organizations deploy. We have graduated a little beyond that, Mukul. So we are using almost all components of Industry 4.0. We have additive printing here. We use augmented reality. We use what we call as digital work instructions, and maybe on the shop floor I can show you that. We also use simulation tool, we also use system integration, and well, when we do all this, then big data and cloud and cyber security comes into picture. So we are using all components effectively, and as I believe Industry 4.0 and the deployment is more like a pizza topping. You choose, right, what you want to implement. So we have chosen, some areas we are going to be a little more rigorous than others, and that's primarily on system integration. Internet of Things, yes, because it really helps for preventive maintenance. A lot of robotics and industrial robo is what we use. We use it for quality measurement, specifically for the SPC. So there is a big deployment here. Having said that, as a big fan of digitization, while we are doing so much, our hunger is to do for more and go for more. And then we have to obviously keep a fine balance, because there is always cost associated to digitization, and then there is a cost which you're going to get in the market. So you got to play between both of them.
So, do you see considerable investments taking place on this front in terms of automation, and also if you could throw some light on the kind of returns you expect? Because a lot of organizations don't want to even try automation because they see this as something which is expensive as capex.
So interestingly, friend, through my own study and research, I have understood that it is your existing investment which is prohibiting for any organization, specifically automotive sector in India, is the existing investment where people want to maximize, or I would say want to amortize before they want to get into the new investments. So as far as Eaton is considered, we have started investing almost 7 years back, or probably 8 years back. We were already automated. Now what I'm talking is Industry 4.0, which is more of a connected world. And that is where we started almost like 8 years back. We progressed and we keep on adding more. So there is no particular year where we are investing less than the previous year. Including this year, we are going to be investing more than what we invested previous year, and then obviously next year is going to be bigger. Now, having said that, you brought the economic angle to it. Yes, economics will play a role over there, and but the benefit is not necessarily only productivity. There is an improvement in quality also, which helps. Third, there is a traceability, which is a very important aspect in the automotive world, where people would want to know, how, if something goes right or if something goes wrong, if they want to trace back, where does it go? And I remember visiting one of my supplier, and I saw a very brilliant use of robotics, and that was for painting, because they were using a hazardous chemical for human being for a direct painting, and then they use an Industry 4.0 robotic tool to do that painting. So that's also to do with employee health. It's and then there is no price to it when it comes to the health and safety. I believe and I'm convinced that most of the organizations in India would always keep that on priority and not really count their pennies when it is up to that. So hopefully that answers your question.
One of the interesting things that I got to know on the manufacturing floor today was three categories of components that you've divided. A being the ones that you would manufacture and also design yourself. B would be the ones which you would calculate whether to be got done outside or inside, and C a standard, right?
Correct.
In terms of A, I wanted to understand in terms of A, B, C, what is the ratio of A if total components are you are using 100? How many of these would fall under A category? How many of these would fall under B? And how many of these would fall under C? Just a ballpark figure.
Sure. I think more than giving a ballpark figure, I'll have to give you an analogy
Okay.
of a human anatomy. Okay, so I think no body part of ours is waste, but certain body parts gain more importance, right? For example, kidney, heart, brain. So I would say the A parts are the most vital kind of organ of our transmissions, and sometimes they may be linked to our patent. So it is that where we want to protect the quality and not really want to take the risk, and it would really differ from transmission to transmission. But to make life simpler, the entire gear mechanism is the one which is kind of heart, brain, mind of in transmission, is where usually the A category parts are used. Having said that, some other components, for example casings and pumps and all that, is what we outsource.
Okay.
So the core of the product is what is we do in-house.
And these are manufactured in-house as well?
They are. So we have a whole lot of machining line which does that. Deep precision is required over there. And I would not be wrong in saying that it is high precision kind of finish. And this quality really defines your performance and life of the product in the market. Given that these products are used for very rugged application, they could be used for mining, they could be used for haulage application, they could be used for RMC mixers, tippers, wherever they get used. The application is very rugged, specifically in India, where rightly so, the user wants to make every penny of their investment. And we have to ensure that they don't make every penny of their investment, they make 2 pennies of their investment. And that's where we put our focus on.
Yesterday, I was speaking to one of my friends from the automotive industry, right? And we were having a discussion around the times to develop around the time frame to develop a new product. And the conversation went towards like, if it's a car that is, if it's a new vehicle that is being developed from scratch, the time for development is down to 2 years now. And if it's a product that is being, facelifted, the time is only an year. Would you agree to this statement? And if you do, how would you say that your R&D is reacting to this current situation?
So I'm really going to break that into validation and designing, boss.
Okay.
So the designing period obviously has shortened, and I'm sure there is a lot of assisted computer-aided programs for that. You have better minds, you have better experiences for that. So Eaton's largest R&D unit globally sits right here in Pune, where we have 2,700 plus engineers for all the product lines which we cater to. And so our speed obviously is augmented by a local presence with scale, and a big amount of testing facility around that, which allows us to respond to our customers timely. The next stage from the design comes the prototyping, and that's where you make samples, and there will be a lot of validation which goes on. That too has reduced thanks to the overall infrastructure and ecology which now the component industry in India has. Third is the validation, and thankfully no one compromises there. So and we don't want them to compromise there. I'm sure as a user, you and me also would want to ensure that the best product is what we drive for the safety of it. So I would say the design time has compressed, has become efficient, and thankfully industry is validating to the perfection.
Interesting. But this new phenomenon, right? This new trend in the market, how well does it leave manufacturing prepared for mass manufacturing if the products get validated within 2 years?
So I don't know if it really prepares them well, but in order for their survival and sustenance, the agility has to be high, and for that agility, your overall response time, specifically your manufacturing line, has to be very flexible. More than that, your people have to be flexible. We cannot take away the people angle. There is a lot of knowledge residing with the people. How much ever we design our standard work and etc. So we also have to upgrade the people's skills regularly on a continuous basis.
A couple of last questions around your supply chain. If you could throw some light on how, in terms of sourcing, what is the ratio from India and from outside India?
So for all our manufacturing gentlemen here, we would be more than 90% localized.
Okay.
Okay, and that's through our own A category parts which we discussed.
Right.
That's through our network of suppliers we work on. But as a global organization, Eaton has not restricted their sourcing from the country only for the domestic use. Several of our suppliers are also supporting our global needs. Over and above this, we have our global supply chain team sitting again in Pune, and that's more than 600 people strong, could be 1,000 plus in matter of time, which is enabling India for India and India for global, which goes well with our own philosophy of make in India and making the country and domestic operations very strong. So the amount of sourcing which happens from India is sizable and is respectable.
Has this sourcing from India increased after COVID and increased more due to the recent geopolitical conditions that the world was in?
Yeah, so these are two different
Exactly. So two different timelines.
Pandemic is one time frame.
Timelines. Yeah.
I think
The
geopolitical is
in the newer
is
past.
the second time frame. I will first give the figures of the component industry here. And we are talking about like more than $21 billion which gets exported from India, which is like good 25% of what component gets manufactured in India, which obviously means that there is acceptability of Indian products in the global markets by the most prominent OEMs. Same is true for us. And I would say in our case, thanks to the various actions we took, the exports increased post pandemic. Okay, coming to the second time frame in the geopolitical situations, fortunately what we have been making has acceptance in the market, and it has not really got impacted so far. And what I read today morning with your own newspaper, we could soon hear a deal coming with US together, because US remains a large market for most of the players, and we are hopeful it will further improve. Having said that, we expect exports from India by the industry and by Eaton from India will only improve from here upward and not down south.
And do you see this number of suppliers going, higher with the time, especially keeping in mind the kind of innovations that are taking place?
So I'm assuming you're meaning number of suppliers from India who are
From
exporting.
suppliers from India. Your supplier base increasing from India?
Yeah, so with the spread of product which we have now and which we foresee coming in future, there has to be addendum because there will be some components which are unique to the new line of product. So supplier base would increase. Having said that, we will continue to work on our quality policy, on our procurement policy to work with the best.
Interesting. You've been very optimistic so far. But any challenge, do you see any challenges? Because I've not seen a single grin on your face. Any challenges that you see so far in the industry?
Plenty.
And could you throw some light on that?
Okay. So one particular challenge we believe, and I'm talking on behalf of the industry, is the upskilling of the labor force. Specifically, I link to the first question you brought out on alternate fuels and probably electrification. I would say most of the organizations, or many organizations, I would not want to use most of the organizations, are not uniformly prepared for it. Okay, so that is going to be one. The second, while this transition happens, while combustion engine remains strong, while the numbers are good domestically, chances are that in the export market those numbers will change because some countries are adopting it faster than India. So those who are primarily dependent on internal combustion engine probably will have to look for a different kind of mix, even if it's a small increment. That's two. Three is the rising cost of raw materials and even the labor cost. What India takes pride in is having skilled labor rightly at a right cost. But we have to remember, when you have to go global, your competition is not with the domestic players over here. Your competition is there with the world, and with the world would mean several times your competitors sitting in different organizations. Several times it would mean your own plant sitting in some other country because they are able to do that cheaper and better sometimes than what we do here. So as a country, we will have to work on three principles which is dominating the automotive world, which I say quality, cost and delivery. Okay, so these three will remain the basic principle. Earlier people would raise a lot of questions on quality from India, but now I think people fairly accept. For example, we have been exporting to Japan, Southeast Asia, Europe, US, Brazil from here, and people appreciate the quality as well. Then comes the cost and delivery. Cost, I think I've touched to the labor cost and industry 4.0, but delivery is something where the entire logistics system of India could get a little more efficient. And I'm not really trying to single out, country infrastructure is poor or not. I'm saying the entire logistics system has to get a little more efficient. Finally, I would say and conclude, business will have challenges. How you respond to it is more important. And that's why you see my optimism coming from, people like us get paid to handle challenges. I'm sure we will tackle that.
Perfect. One last question.
Sure,
Out of the challenges that you've just mentioned, what's challenge number one that you want immediately addressed? And how do you want it addressed?
It's to sustain the productivity of India as a country. I think that's going to be challenge number one, and that directly link to the skilled labor and availability of the right labor. I think that is going to be one. I would link, followed by raw material.
So I would be correct to say that upskilling is the main.
Upskilling and reskilling, yeah.
Or while it is the enabler, it is also a deterrent if not done in time.
Correct.
Right.
And that's why Eaton has identified. So we say our strategy is lead for growth, invest for growth, and execute for growth. And we say lead first because lead is more to do with people related and how we upskill them. And I don't really want to sound fancy by bringing it's all about people, because Eaton has stakeholders in employee, in customers, in communities, and in shareholders as well. But having seen it day to day, we believe that's a very big differentiator. You may have best of the systems. You may have so-called dark factory, what we hear in the industry 4.0, but if you don't have right people managing it, there's going to be challenge.
You've heard from the man. It's upskilling and reskilling that's the need of the hour for the India's manufacturing sector. This is Mukul Yudhvir Singh signing off. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.